Something's wrong! Something is really, really wrong! A young Zhoosh cried as it nervously paced back and forth. By the creators, Skishal! You need to calm down. You are going to have an evacuation of your bowels. Tsunkal said as he lounged on a large shipping crate sipping on a juice box. She will be here. She is late. She is less than 1 hour late. We are traveling unimaginably vast distances with the intent of intersecting our paths on this desolate dustball of a planet at this precise moment in the entirety of time. If you think about it in a cosmic sense, the fact that it is possible at all is truly mind-blowing. Something's wrong! Something is really, really wrong! A young Zhoosh cried as it nervously paced back and forth. By the creators, Skishal, you need to calm down. You are going to have an evacuation of your bowels, Tsunkal said as he lounged on a large shipping crate sipping on a juice box. She will be here. She is late. She is less than 1 hour late. We are traveling unimaginably vast distances with the intent of intersecting our paths on this desolate dustball of a planet at this precise moment in the entirety of time. If you think about it in a cosmic sense, the fact that it is possible at all is truly mind-blowing. The paper tiger eased into orbit. Sheila scanned for terrestrial objects. She couldn't find them at first, but T had picked a good spot. She smiled. T was getting good at this. Paper tiger to hermit crab. You ready, T? Ready to go, Tsunkal replied, and then turned to Skshal. See? Everything's cool. Let's start offloading the goodies. They both entered their vessel and started transferring pallet after pallet of white powder. What is all this stuff anyway? Skshal asked. Methamphetamine. What's methamphetamine? A dangerously addictive street drug that is popular with humans. It's a lot like slaver's dust, but much more pleasurable from what I understand. Skshal recoiled in shock. We are making slaver's dust? He squeal-buzzed with dismay. Yes and no, it is addictive as slaver's dust, but almost never forced on the victim. They take it voluntarily. That's insane. Well, we are discussing humans. Regardless, this is still wrong. Tsunkal laid an appendage on Skshal's carapace. Do you want the guns or not? He asked his young co-pilot. Do you want the refugees transported to Terran space or not? Everything has a price, and this is the price. I also understand that there will be chocolate. Come on. We still have a lot of this to offload. Skshal held his head in his manipulators and hiccuped. This was not what he envisioned at all. There was no glory. There was no nobility. There was nothing but constant worry and moral ambiguity. Fear he was prepared for. Combat he was prepared for. What he was not prepared for was suddenly becoming a drug dealer. Sheila landed the paper tiger next to Tsunkal's vessel, kicking up a cloud of dust. Tsunkal held a rag over his breathing orifice and stepped forward to greet her. Shortly thereafter, Sheila and 6 other armed humans debarked and advanced. Skshal watched in confusion as Tsunkal strode forward and engaged in an odd, somewhat complicated hand-slapping ritual with the lead human. Tsunkal motioned for Skshal to approach. Sheila, this is my new friend SS. This is human friend Sheila. She is a very good friend to us. Sheila smiled, displaying her disturbingly omnivorous teeth. It's great to meet you, S. She looked over at Tsunkal. Is he your replacement when you inevitably become one with the creators? Or lose even more of your eyes? Meh. That is why the creators blessed us with 12. He gestured over at the pallets. It is fortunate that we have so much refining equipment sitting idle due to the conflict, he clicked. I trust it will meet your standards. Sheila flashed those disturbing teeth again and approached the cargo with a scanner. Damn, T, you and I should go into business after your war, she said approvingly as she looked at the screen. They may look funny, but those Zhoosh could churn out the crystal meth like nobody's business. That is a most interesting prospect. Who would suspect a nervous little Zhoosh hauling a shipload of contraband? Tsunkal chuckled. I think you guys have dispelled that nervous little Zhoosh stereotype. I honestly didn't think you guys would last a month. How is it going, anyhow? All I get is Federation propaganda. Like shit, it's a stalemate. We are neither advancing nor are we retreating. We are just dying. Sheila placed a hand on Tsunkal's carapace and nodded. Yep, sounds like war. Just don't get too used to it, she said sadly. Moments later, she perked right back up. On a more cheerful note, we have a nice delivery for you. Everything you asked for, plus some presents for our increasingly valuable friends. 10,000 more AKs, all the ammo you requested, and we were able to get our hands on the Mark 15 armor-piercing rounds, which you will absolutely love. Goes through rigid combat armor like a knife through butter or whatever soft spread you guys have. We couldn't get the Mark 7 nukes you guys like, but we did get some Mark 5s, so we threw in another 4. That okay? That's more than okay. Sheila then grinned and did a little happy dance. That's not the best part. It gets better. She grabbed a case off one of the pallets that her associates were unloading and threw it open. Liberators. Liberators? Completely polymer firearms. No metal, unconventional propellant, advanced polymer armor-piercing slugs, virtually undetectable. They are made by Terran intelligence and fucking hard to get. But for you guys, I made it happen because I like you. Ooh, I almost forgot. I got you a present. She ran into the ship and came out with a gun case. This is a 12-gauge pump shotgun, Sheila exclaimed proudly. Not even chemical, totally mechanically operated, and this puppy barks. Let me show you how to work it. After a brief demonstration, Tsunkal was delighted. This is simply... He was cut off by a loud beeping. Fuck. What the fuck is that? Sakshal rushed into the ship and a moment later sprinted out, dropping poop from his pants leg. It's a Federation cruiser! Tsunkal looked down at Sakshal's leg. Seriously? What are we going to do? Sakshal cried in terror. Sheila paced back and forth. Shit, shit, shit! She yelled, then she stopped pacing. This is what we are going to do. Get those Zoosh onto my ship now. I promised I would get them out, and they are getting out. Get the nukes and as many weapons as you can onto your ship. Why? Just do it! Tsunkal yelled as he started pushing the nukes towards his ship. Hey, Major, landers, now! You got maybe 5 minutes? A man yelled from the paper tiger. You hear that, Zooshlings? You got 5 minutes to get on board! Go, 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 go! Sheila yelled as she threw open a case and grabbed an AK. Fuck it! Tsunkal said calmly as he also grabbed one. What about the cargo? The voice yelled from Sheila's ship. They're the fucking cargo! Prepare to launch! You got it, Major, but we aren't going to be able to get them on board and launch in time. I'll get you time, Sheila yelled as she chambered around. I'm counting on you, Sergeant! A man ran from the ship and helped the Zoosh board. Welcome to Pirate Cruise Lines. We hope you enjoy your trip, he said cheerfully as he started herding the refugees into Sheila's cargo ship. What are you doing, Lieutenant? Sheila barked. Backing your dumb ass up, ma'am. After the former lieutenant pushed the last Zoosh family on board, he grabbed a rifle. Get your ship airborne the second the Tiger lifts off, Sheila yelled at the 2 Zoosh. The feds will go after the nukes and buy us some time. Sakshal, with a loud, wet farting noise, ran toward the vessel. Why am I enjoying this? He yelled as he spun up the engines. Sheila looked over at Tsunkal. How long does he need? If he stops shitting himself, maybe 3 minutes. 2 Federation landing craft came into view. Shit! They're early. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Oh, and tea, I did bring chocolate. Should have delivered it first, sorry. No worries. It's best for a Zoosh to face this sort of thing on an empty stomach anyhow, Tsunkal said as he ducked behind a pallet of crystal meth. Sheila turned to her comrades and grinned. Okay, boys, it's party time! Sheila yelled as she opened fire. Captain, we are taking heavy fire! We have 3 combatants, 2 human and 1 Zoosh, the Federation strike leader reported. The captain was less than pleased. There are only 3 of them, so what is the issue? They have us pinned down and, bang, we are taking bang casualties. Brrrt! Request permission to use lethal force. Negative. We need them alive. We need to know the source of the nuclear weapons. Then we need reinforce... Captain, this is Strike Sergeant Xclong. The strike leader has been severely injured, and I am assuming... They have grenades. Bang! Assuming command. Sir, the ships have launched and are heading in opposite directions. They have rockets. Get away from... Boom! Sir, we have just lost a landing craft. Sigh. Very well, Sergeant. Withdraw to defensive positions and await reinforcements. Yes, sir. Boom! Sir, we just lost the other lander. The captain mumbled obscenities under his breath and pressed a button on his console. Yes, Captain. Send every damned Marine we have to the surface now. Get a lock on the vessel with the nukes and fire an EMP. We will board it once we deal with the surface. Yes, sir. I'm trying, sir. Trying? His evasive maneuvers are... Wait. I got him. Sir, the other vessel has jumped to hyperspace. Yes, exactly as they planned, the captain growled. Sheila awoke, greeted with a splitting headache. She groaned and rolled over to discover that she was sharing a cell with her compatriots. Fuck. Ow. Is it just me, or have they dialed up the stunners? She mumbled. Tsungkal painfully flopped over. It wasn't so much the setting as it was the number of times we were shot. I know for a fact you caught a couple after you were down. I think they were somewhat displeased with you. Those assholes. Sheila grinned. I wonder why they could possibly be angry with us. Indeed, they have absolutely no sense of humor. Ow, I think I cracked my carapace. The lieutenant groaned faintly. Sheila weakly kicked at him. Dumbass? Big fucking glorious dumbass, she said proudly. Ambassador Wintersmith was having lunch when he got the news. The fucking Federation actually did something effective. They had caught her. Not only had they caught her red-handed, but they caught two Jush who were paying for guns and nukes with crystal meth of all things. He was mystified how the feds managed to pull it off, but the important thing was that they did. Now all he had to do was collect her. The Terran Republic had a whole lot of questions for that bitch, and there was no way she was wiggling out of this one. So he quickly boarded his diplomatic craft and headed for Fed Security Station 12, where his prize awaited. He arrived to find Sheila, an unknown human male, and two Zoush, all of which looked scorched and groggy. He turned to the guard, a burly Threen. What happened to them? Nothing. They were just shot with stunners repeatedly. Numerous times, including 2 incidents while in custody. The female is a biter, so is one of the Jush. Good, John said with a smile. Zap them a few times for me. Oh, where's the security chief? I am here to take custody of the Terrans and would like to request the right for myself or a representative to be present for the interrogation of the Jush. The guard shifted uneasily. John's good mood started to evaporate. What? It's not my place to say, Ambassador. Well, it is mine, said an unfortunately familiar voice behind him. John's good mood was officially gone. Reminding himself that what he really wanted to do was definitely not a good idea, John turned around, and there, every pecker on his goddamn Muppet head fully inflated to the point of bursting, was Counselor K. Shalta. Behind him were 2 humans in Federation uniforms. John snarled and unconsciously stepped forward. There was nothing in the whole universe more hated by a Terran human than a Federation human. Those collaborating bastards were in no small way responsible for the trumped-up bullshit charges that the Federation used to justify their attack, and were exceedingly helpful in making that attack a success. John had murder in his eyes, so much so that K. Shalta's pecker crest deflated slightly. If the ambassador behaves in any way that could be considered violent, you have my authority to use any force necessary to resolve the situation, he said to the increasingly uncomfortable Threen. The Threen slumped. Just 2 more hours. Just 2 more fucking hours, and his weekend would start, and he did not need this shit. The Threen had dealt with Terrans before during the war. He did not want to do it again. Those fuckers were evil. 2 hours to go, and now he had the perfect storm of a Terran human and 2 Federation humans. That Terran might be an ambassador now, and he didn't know Terran heraldry. Still, he was pretty sure that they didn't hand out decorations featuring what were clearly skeletal remains of some sort for organizing the office charity drive. Yes, Counselor, he said about as miserably as a Threen could. What the fuck are you doing here, Counselor? John hissed. I am here to facilitate the transfer of these prisoners. All of them. What the fuck are you playing at, K-Shalta? He glared at the humans and saw Federation intelligence designations on their uniforms. I am not in the mood for your bullshit right now. Nor I yours, the counselor said with undisguised glee. Now please be a good ambassador and step aside. Like fuck I will. They may be scum, but they are Terran scum, and I am here to haul their asses off to Terran space for questioning. Oh, you mean these enemy combatants? John blinked. What? Oh, didn't you hear? They bore arms alongside dangerous Zhush insurgents in a direct armed conflict with Federation forces. That makes them enemy combatants, Keshal Ta said in the most condescending tone he could muster. They are directly involved in a current armed conflict with the Federation and as such are valuable intelligence assets. That is total bullshit, and you know it. In accordance with Statute 7 of Stick Statute 7 up your ass. This is not over. Yes, Ambassador, it is. Now, these nice intelligence officers will take custody of these enemy combatants and rigorously interrogate them. After that, we will share any pertinent information, at our discretion, of course. Counselor Keshal Ta cackled with glee. Counselor, one of the Federation agents quietly said, and then nodded toward John. Due to obvious considerations, we believed that time was of the essence. So we took a heavy fighter here, and it isn't large enough for the prisoners. We would like to requisition a larger ship for transport of the prisoners and guards necessary to secure them. Of course, Agent. You have my authority. Just report to the transport office. Counselor, we are taking them to a black site, and it would be best if you signed for it directly for security reasons. We don't wish to file an official flight plan. Absolutely. Just hand me the... Why such a large vessel? Unfortunately, after examining the vessels available, it is the only one large enough to meet our needs. Admittedly, it is much too large, and we apologize for the inefficiency, but rather than arrange for something more suitable, we believe it's for the best. The Federation human glanced at John. I believe it best for us to transfer the prisoners immediately. That makes sense. The counselor quickly signed the tablet and grinned at John, utterly unaware of how close he came to dying just then. Thank you, counselor. We will take the prisoners now. Sheila and her cohorts were led away. John stood there motionless for some time, much to the concern of a certain Threen. The next day, John was in his office absolutely enraged. His calls either went unanswered or he got a bland response that was basically what the counselor had already told him. The icing on the top of the cake was when his superiors told him to drop it. Apparently, they had concerns that it could become a real diplomatic incident. It seemed that everyone thought the easiest answer would be if the whole problem just went away, even if it meant leaving Terran citizens in the hands of Federation traitors. Everyone was satisfied. Everyone except John, of course. Yes, he had inquired about making her go away before, but handing her over to the traitors? He wouldn't wish that on any Terran. He wasn't going to let this one go, career be damned. Just as he grabbed the phone for yet another round of calls, his intercom buzzed. Ambassador, Toby said hesitantly, Counselor Keshal Ta is here to see you. Show him in, John snarled. Ambassador, the counselor said, his voice just dripping with glee. I understand that you are still engaged in a futile attempt to somehow manage to change the situation. Now, I would normally let you scream and flail until the end of time, but I am getting tired of taking calls about it. You will not win. Those Terrans will be in the Nigerian detention facility until the end of time. John blinked. The what? The what facility? The Nigerian detention facility? John blinked again. Have you ever actually heard of the Nigerian detention facility before? John asked. No, of course not. It is a black site operated by the humans. You have heard of black sites before, I trust? I understand it's an underhanded human way to bypass troublesome regulations. Oh, I have heard of something like this before, John said, trying desperately to suppress a grin. Not that it's any of my business, but exactly how big of a transport vessel did the agents requisition? I see no harm in telling you. It was a Class 12 medium cargo vessel. John couldn't help but chuckle. That's a pretty big ship. Great jump range, too. Very nice. Did they request anything else? Maybe something like an off-the-record small loan or service in exchange for large rewards that sounded perfectly reasonable considering the circumstances? Absolutely not, and I would report such an offer if they did. Corruption is a Terran phenomenon, the counselor said with just a bit too much conviction. John smiled and leaned back in his chair. Well, I know when I am beat. I guess I will just have to accept things the way they are. John laughed. Have a great day, Counselor. Counselor Keshal Ta refused to be deceived by the wild hilarity displayed by his brain wave scanner and proudly strode, crest fully erect, out of Ambassador Wintersmith's office. Once he left, John let out a long, contented sigh and pressed the intercom. "Oh, Toby, would you pretty please get me Terran intelligence on the line? They are not going to believe this one."